To make our component a bit more configurable and accept different data, we in the end want to utilize a concept which we know from the function world and from standard HTML elements. In the place where we used to do, so in this app component, it would be nice if we could add an attribute like text or title, totally up to you. Let's go with text, and then set this to some value, like learn React on the first to-do, then master React on the second to-do, and let's say explore the full React course in the third to-do. Now, it would be nice if we could do that, but if I add this here in app.js and save it, this has no effect on what we see on the screen. The reason for this is that we're setting these custom attributes, but in the to-do.js file, we have no code that would pick up those values. Nonetheless, this is how you do pass data into a component. We just also need to write some code in the component to then accept and use those received values. And we do that with a concept called props. We accept a parameter in our function component, and in every function component, we can accept that parameter. And that parameter is typically called props. You can name it whatever you want, since it's your code, but it's called props because this React concept is called props. This will be an object, props will be a JavaScript object, where all the attributes added on the element are in the end available as key value pairs in this props object. So here, these attribute names will be the keys, and the values will be, well, the values. So props inside of the to-do component will be an object now that has a text property and then different values for this text property. And if you named this attribute differently, that's also okay. You will then have a property of that name in your props object. So therefore now here in this h2 tag, we want to output this text we're getting on this props object. Now in standard JavaScript, we access object properties with the dot notation. So we could output props.text here to access the text property in the props object and therefore the value stored in this property. But if we do this here, we just see props.text as an output. The reason for this is that everything here in this JSX block is treated as HTML elements or plain text. The good news, however, is that we can also output dynamic expressions as part of the JSX code. We can tell React that something should not be treated as plain text, but instead as a JavaScript expression that should be evaluated. And we do this with a special syntax inside of this JSX code, which looks like this. Opening and closing curly braces, single curly braces. And between those braces, you can have any JavaScript expression you want, like for example 2 + 2. Now this will not be treated as plain text, but instead it will be executed as JavaScript. So if I save this, we see 4, the result of this expression. Now you can have any single line expression in here, but you can't have any block statements here. So adding an if check here would not work. But what does work is referring to props.text here. So simply outputting the result of accessing this text property on the props object. If we add this code and save this, we see our different texts here for the different to-dos. And now we build our own truly reusable React component here, the to-do component. It is truly reusable because now it does not just have some hard-coded structure and text inside of it, but also some dynamic code using this core concept built into React, the props concept, for accepting data from outside, so from the place where it is being rendered. That is a key concept, this props concept, and that is how you build reusable custom elements, reusable components. And that's therefore a major first step here. Now let's make sure that we handle events that we handle a click on the delete button, and that we then also change something on the screen when the button is clicked. To be precise, that we present this nice overlay when that delete button is clicked.